Hear ye, the court is in session. The jury has spoken and the judge has spoken. So, if you haven't already heard, which I'm sure everyone in sight of a television or a radio has heard, that the verdict is in with the three defendants in the Ahmaud Arbery case, and it is guilty. The verdict is guilty. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, the guilty verdict in the trial of Ahmaud Arbery. And we're also going to throw in a little bit about the Kyle Rittenhouse case because a lot of comparisons were made to the Ahmaud Arbery case as well as the Kyle Rittenhouse case. As you know, Kyle Rittenhouse was found not guilty in his trial, and there were he was accused. Well, he did shoot three people, fatally shooting two of them. So there was three um, victims, if you will, and in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, and he was found not guilty. In the Ahmaud Arbery case, there were three defendants, and they were found guilty. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I hope you guys can join me because I like to hear your opinions on this subject and see what the comparisons are in both cases. And do you think that justice is served, or do you agree with the verdict, or do you disagree? So that's what we would like to talk about tonight. I'm going to play the little intro and come back, and we're going to get started. Okay, guys, and we're back. So, like I said earlier, in the intro, before the intro, that the verdict was read today in the Ahmaud Arbery case. We weren't sure if the jury was going to maybe sit out Thanksgiving and come back fresh on Friday. They did have some questions that they wanted answered, and they also wanted to. They had a request from the judge that they wanted to watch some of the videos individually. And I think the judge said that they wanted to watch them like a total of three times each. So they granted that request earlier, and I guess that helped the jury make their decision in the case. So, like I said, the verdict is guilty, but on some of the with the Roddy Bryant, for example, there were in his case he was found not guilty on some of the charges. So I'm just going to bring up. I'm just going to share the screen to show the actual breakdown of the charges. Okay, so this is a screenshot of charges in all three defendants. So with Travis McMichael, he was found on count one, malice murder, guilty. Count two, felony murder, guilty. Count three, felony murder, guilty. So he was found guilty on all charges, on all nine. Was it nine counts? Let's make sure. So yes, he was found. Travis McMichael, who was the son, he is the one who actually shot Ahmaud, and he was found guilty on all nine charges. The dad, Gregory McMichael, he's the one who was in the back of the truck, back of the pickup truck, with a firearm, and he was found guilty on all charges except one, which was count one, malice murder. That's the one he was found not guilty on. And the third defendant, William Roddy Bryan, he was the neighbor, and he was also following in his pickup truck, and he also assisted in cutting off the path of Ahmaud Arbery. Like the dad said, they had him trapped like I think he said a trap like a rat, and he assisted in that. So he was found guilty on six charges and then not guilty on three. So the three charges that he was found not guilty on is malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault. So unfortunately, I am not an attorney, and I do not pretend to be an attorney. We do not have an attorney present to see what the differences is in those. I'm going to try to Google them real quick to see what the difference in those charges are. But so he was found not guilty on those charges: um, malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault. So let me see if I can find out what those three charges are to try to figure out why he was found not guilty on those. Because I think it's different by state also. I am in the state of Georgia, so I do reside in the same state that they reside in. Um, so I think it does have a lot to do with the state that you live in. So let's see if I can Google what that is. Okay, so I pulled up the definition of malice murder to see that maybe why he was found, why Roddy Bryan and the dad were found not guilty of malice murder. Okay, so according to the state of Georgia, felony murder and malice murder. Georgia does not have degrees of murder, malice, but has malice and felony murder. Okay. Under Georgia law, malice murder refers to when someone causes the death of another person unlawfully and with malice, aforethought, either express or implied. Express malice involves a deliberate intention to take the life of another human. Malice is implied when the killing is unprovoked and all the circumstances of the killing show an abandoned and malignant heart. A felony murder is committed when a person causes the death of another person while committing a felony. Okay, so let me read that again. A felony murder is committed when a person causes the death of another person while committing a felony. To be convicted of felony murder, the person must be convicted of the underlying felony. Prosecutors say the men committed 4 felonies, 2 counts of aggravated assault, 1 count of false imprisonment, which I think we kind of know what the false imprisonment is, when they prevented him from running away, and 1 count of criminal attempt to commit false imprisonment. So the men face 4 counts of felony murder. So those were the charges. And like I said, the dad and Roddy were found not guilty of malice murder. They both were found not guilty of that. And Roddy Bryan was found not guilty of felony murder and aggravated assault. So those were the charges. So I just wish I had someone here who can kind of explain that better for me. I'm going to see if maybe I can find someone at a later date to, because I just this verdict just came up this evening, maybe about 1:30ish Georgia time, and to see if we can get somebody to kind of break down the charges a little bit more to find out why the dad was found guilty on all charges except that particular one. And also with Roddy Bryan. I'm assuming that, which I could be wrong, I'm just assuming, allegedly. So, allegedly, that since he was not the one actually out of the vehicle and in the one-on-one confrontation with Ahmaud, that maybe that's why he and Roddy were found not guilty on that particular charge. And Travis McMichael was found guilty on all because he was pretty much involved in every aspect of the confrontation with Ahmaud. So obviously he would be the one that's guilty of everything that took place there. So that's what happened with that. So let me take down my allegedly. I have to say it allegedly because I don't know that to be a fact, but that's just what I assume why the dad and Roddy were found not guilty on those, because they were not actually involved, hand in hand or face to face with Ahmaud. And also, one of the big, there have been so many crazy statements made by the so-called defense attorneys in this case. One of them was, of course, the statement that was heard around the world last week by Attorney Goff, which is Roddy Bryan's attorney, when he said that he didn't want any more black pastors in the courtroom. And that pretty much made every pastor worth his robe come out in force with him saying by him saying that. And another one that was made, I think it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday with um, one of the attorneys for the defense, the female attorney. She made a statement about Ahmaud Arbery's long, dirty toenails. So I guess she was there and saw his body during the autopsy, and she decided to make that statement. I guess her making that statement was supposed to make Ahmaud seem more fearful, to put that into the jury's head, to make him seem more fearful and to make him seem more of a monster, which to me, a lot of, Caucasian people, they have a fear of the black man, whether he's well dressed or whether he's in sweats. So she pretty much tried to feed the jury into that by talking about his long, dirty toenails, which I think was just totally off. I don't know if there's any type of charges or whatever that attorneys can be brought up on, or kind of scorned by the judge, but if there is, she definitely deserves it for that. I mean, if he didn't do it with attorney Golf when he made the statement about any more black pastors, she definitely needs some type of timeout for that statement, because that was just totally off board. And as we see, it didn't do her any good, because the jury still came back and did what they did and found them not guilty. And I think that a lot of people, like at the beginning of the trial, when the jury was finally seated, and we found out there was only one African American on the jury, people were a little worried because of the tone already of this case. And with one African American juror, everybody was, kind of worried, like, oh God, we don't know how this is going to go with that type of environment, and with the defendants being white males, that they thought, we were a little worried. Well, I won't say they. I thought it myself also when I first, heard the breakdown of the jury. That, I was a little worried, like, oh, it wasn't going to be fairly looked at, but it turned out to be just the opposite. And I guess you can say that, if you want to look at it, like, there is a way to get justice in Georgia and in America, so to speak, to a certain extent, even if you have a mostly white jury. I guess we can look at it that way. So, with this verdict coming down with the defendants, excuse me, excuse me, with the defendants being found guilty, it's I guess we can say that's a step in the right direction, somewhat. It's like a small step in the right direction, but we do still have a long way to go in America, as far as, people of color getting a fair trial or fair shake, so to speak, when it comes to the justice system. And this case was a perfect example as to, in 2021, how some people still view people of color in this country. Um, this whole, some people said that this was not about race. Some people said that it was. And I think this was kind of like a contributing factor in this whole scenario, because they had a certain perception of Ahmaud from the beginning. because of the big black scary man theory, and thinking that, if they see a person of color, especially a black male, in a neighborhood, they always assume that he's up to no good. And it doesn't have to be the case. But that pretty much put I guess, thought in their mind from the beginning. And I think when they went out there, now I heard someone say that they didn't. The prosecutor said that she doesn't think that they actually went out there to murder Ahmaud, which I don't think they did, but they did have in their mind, in my opinion, that with them, looking for him and supposedly seeing him many times on video surveillance, and also they did have a run-in with him earlier, that they already had in their mind that they wanted to get him and they wanted to catch him. So they may not have wanted to kill him when they went out there with their guns, but they did have in their mind that, yeah, we're finally going to get this guy. And that was the whole purpose of the dad saying, they definitely was not going to let him get away. And that's why he said we had him trapped like a rat, and he told them to cut him off. That's the whole purpose. They were determined that they were not going to let him get away that time. You got away from us all these other times, but you're not going to get away from us today. Not today. And I think that that's they did have that in their mind. And that's just my opinion. And when he, refused to answer any of their questions, like when they asked him, "Where are you going? What are you doing out here?" And he just totally refused to answer them. And he tried, once again to get away, go around them. They were not having that. And they were thinking to themselves, like, how dare you not answer our questions when we finally have you cornered, and you're still not going to answer our questions? This is not going to happen. And that's kind of the attitude that they had, and that's why they continued to pursue him. And when the prosecutor asked Travis, well, couldn't you have just turned your truck around and left? And he didn't want to answer that at first, and he finally had to say, well, yeah, I could have turned around, but you didn't. And this is why we're here, because you refused to turn around, because you felt like, how dare him not answer my questions? And he changed his whole tone when he got in the courtroom and said, he was just like, hey, we just want to answer you some questions. And that is definitely, we know, was not what happened. When we saw the police body cam footage, he had an entirely different tone about him with that. And it wasn't a nice tone that he had when he was on the witness stand. And so I would just also like to know, also because sometimes the defense attorneys, they don't always put the defendant on the stand. And what you guys think about him taking the stand? Do you think that he helped the case at all by being on the witness stand, or do you think that he pretty much, hurt the case even more by his testimony? Because I don't really think that he did a great job in convincing the jury that he was justified in taking Ahmaud's life. I don't think he did anyway. But I think in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, even with those fake crocodile tears of his, I think he did in somewhat sway the jurors in their decision, but it did not work in Travis's favor. At least in my opinion, it did not help him. So, even with him saying, "Oh, it was the most traumatic day of my life. Oh, I knew that if he was going to take my gun, that he was going to shoot me with it." Well, sir, you put yourself in that situation that you were the cause of being in that situation, and the reason why he tried to take your gun because he was trying to defend himself. You have a gun, your dad's in the back with a gun. What was he supposed to do? I mean, he didn't have a gun. He didn't even have a cell phone. He didn't have anything with him. So he couldn't have even called for help or called 911 himself. So what is it that you think that he should have done other than trying to defend himself? So I don't think that Travis taking the witness stand did him any justice at all. And it just he pretty much help the jury make their case and make their decision. So um, I haven't heard so far if they're going to appeal, which I'm sure they are. I would be interested to hear that in the next few days, but I don't think it's going to do any good. I don't think that anybody's mind or opinion is going to be changed if they do decide to appeal. And his attorney Gall, said yesterday after they, recessed that, oh, I don't know what you guys are talking about. We're going to win this thing. We're going to win this thing. When they asked him, so do you plan to appeal? He said, oh, I don't plan to appeal. We're not going to need to appeal because we're going to win this thing. Sir, it was not looking good. And you saying 7 times that you wanted that you were trying to get your client out of, you're trying to get your client to be separate from the other two defendants. I think you waited a little bit too late, first of all, to do that. And what you asking the judge 7 separate times for a mistrial, and none of them ever worked. So I don't know, maybe 7 is his lucky number. When the 3 strike rule didn't work for him, he decided to try it 4 more times. And each time the judge was like, no. And please don't ask me that again. Because if you ask me that for the 8th time, it's going to be no again, sir. So that did not work for him. So I'm quite sure if the other attorneys do not file an appeal, I'm sure that Attorney Goff is going to file an appeal for his client, because he felt that his client should not have been there in the first place. But you were, sir, and that's where you were, and that's where you are now, in a jam, and you're going to be behind bars for at least the next 30 years. So that's just a small or short synopsis of the trial. You guys put down in the comments what you think about the case and what your thoughts are, and just let me know what you guys think, and what your thoughts are for that. If you think that it was a fair call, or do you think that it was looking more for you like a hung jury, that maybe the father and son should have been guilty, but maybe Roddy Bryan should not have been found guilty on as many charges as he was. So just let me know what you guys think about that. And I just wanted to come on here and kind of give my opinions on what I thought, about the verdict. And I think the verdict was fair. I would just like a little bit more clarity on, like I said, why the father and Roddy Bryant were found not guilty on the malice murder charge. So that's all I have for tonight. You guys let me know what you think in the comments. And y'all have a good night, and I'll see you next time. And once again, this has been The Crime Dame, and this is Criminality Online, where we talk about all things true crime. Good night.